Now, I'm sure this will come as zero surprise to many of the people who watch Sister Wives in America and other regions or territories that there is unseen footage which demonstrates that there may have been more chicanery from Robyn with regard to the COVID excuses, the COVID rules, and the separation, and thereby the breakdown of the family.
What did he say?
Now, for a long time, they've always come out and said, both Robyn and Kody have said, the reason the family has fallen apart is because of the lack of adherence to the COVID rules and the disrespect that I, Kody, have received from these wives. It is completely ridiculous. I have done everything I can to make everything better, and they have betrayed the family. But as I look at it, I'm telling you, the first thing that I noticed when I watched this clip, it just kind of fell into my lap. And I want to give a huge shout out to Tanya, who left a message, a subscriber, and I think a member, who left a message on my SpeakPipe, which is speakpipe.com/my take on reality, where you can leave a 90-second message. Link is down below. She left a message and she had asked me about Kendra and the catfish and some other things. So I started digging into that to try to answer the question a little better. And this clip popped into my feed, my responses when I was looking for information. And I took a look at the clip and I said, you know what? This is something I've never seen before. Why is TLC keeping these gems away from us? One of the arguments that both Kody and Robyn and even Mary, and I think maybe the other two, Janelle and Christine, have used historically is, you guys don't know everything. You don't know what's going on. You guys are missing a lot. You know why we're missing a lot? Because TLC is cutting a lot of this shit out, a lot of the relevant stuff. This is actually a production tape. These are self-tapes that were done around the COVID time when the whole family was taping themselves, and then they went into the studio later on to talk about it, to try to do the confessional couches. So that's what this clip is a combination of. And during this clip, Robyn explains why the family, after they got together for Ariela's birthday, which is ironic because the only time they seem to be able to get together is to celebrate one of her kids. But right after that, that's when they found out that the COVID, pandemic might actually touch their family, because as it turns out, the nanny got sick. And I don't think I've ever really put that together and in like the hard, fast rules as to why they did it. But I want to go through part of the clip. I can't play the whole clip because of copyright reasons. So I'm just going to play the clip, and then I'm going to give my responses throughout, so that way I'm actually adding context to a lot of where I'm coming from when it comes to this clip. Let's take a look at it.
So over the weekend, we had a birthday party for Ariela, and the whole family tested and was able to get together and kind of have this time together. It was actually really cool. And Ari was so happy that her family was there for her birthday. Well, after that, the next day, I got a call from my childcare provider, my nanny and tutor for the kids, and she said that her husband and her were testing positive for COVID. It's really scary.
Ooh, that was dramatical. Could you imagine? Ari, the sweet innocent child, was getting together with her family. And then all of a sudden, evil COVID rears its ugly head. That's what we're asked to believe. Now, I do enjoy the fact that, one, I had to speed the clip up a little bit so that I can fit it in. But if I played it out at regular speed, you would see that Robyn was sitting there acting as though she was this sweet, innocent child who just so happened to get caught up into the foolishness of COVID. Oh, this thing happened to me. And once again, I'm just this hapless, happening victim who these things keep happening to. Ari was so happy to have her birthday. It was so special because she was excited about getting with the family. But because COVID reared its ugly head, I don't think we can get together anymore. It's not my fault. Now, right off the top, when that happened, the first thing that occurred to me is that it would be your fault because you're the one who brought the nanny into your lives. You're the one who brought the nanny into your home. So if the nanny brought COVID into your home, wouldn't it be your responsibility? The same way Kody was telling Gabe and Garrison that they couldn't come to Janelle's house. And then he stood outside of Janelle's house talking and arguing with her, saying that if Gabe and Garrison brought something back to the house, it would be essentially Janelle's fault because it's Janelle's house and she should be running her house. And anything that happens in Janelle's house is Janelle's responsibility. Like, same. Anything that happens in Christine's house, because she was another one who was blamed for being wild and flagrant with the COVID rules. That if anything happened in her house, she would be ultimately responsible for anything that happened in her home. Well, apparently, the buck doesn't stop here, because when it was time for Robyn's house to come in contact with the 1-9, that's what I called it, when she came in contact with the 1-9, all of a sudden it's not on Robyn, it's on this nanny, whom she hired and who she brought in and who she gave permission to come into the house, and who you sat there and argued with your wives why they couldn't see each other, much less Robyn and her kids, but they couldn't even see each other because they weren't following the rules that apparently Robyn's nanny was following.
We got everybody together.
Oh, we got everybody together. That was also part of the clip. There was an immediate cut right after where she was she was sitting there and she was so sad and so moved at the fact that, gosh darn it, we finally got everybody together. And this is what happens. This is what happens when you get everybody together. Our nannies get sick. Awesome.
If it would have just been me and my kids doing Ari's birthday party at our house, the only point of exposure we would have had to worry about was whether or not Kody was going somewhere. And that's why he's done what he's done. But we got everybody together. And right now there's a possibility that we all have COVID. And it's because we got together, and I don't want that to make us all go, okay, well, we can't do this anymore.
But isn't that the entire reason as to why you guys supposedly had the rules in place? What you're saying doesn't make sense. And this is why I think it was actually something that was put in place by Robyn. And we'll get into that in a moment as to why I think that the whole COVID scare was merely a ploy supported by this clip that TLC omitted from the American cut, which supports the idea and notion that Robyn was actually the one behind cutting the family off and separating the family and using COVID as an excuse. According to her, even in this statement, she was saying that had we just done what we normally did, then we would never have been exposed. Had we just done what we had always done during this period, just followed the rules and the regulations as Kody had set forth, then somehow we would have avoided contaminating or potentially exposing the entire family. I call bullshit on that for the simple fact, pardon my French, for the simple fact that if you look at what they were proposing and what would have happened had the nanny actually been sick, the family still would have been sick. In fact, it would have been guaranteed that they would have been sick. Because let's be honest, Kody, the nanny comes over to Robyn's house on Thursday as the last day. She infects Robyn in her house. Then Kody leaves Robyn's house, goes over to Christine's house on Friday, infects Christine in her whole house. Then on Saturday, he goes over to Janelle's house, infects Janelle in her whole house, including the two boys he was blaming for everything and holding accountable and responsible for the whole, oh, this is why I don't talk to my kids anymore because of you two, because you can't follow the rules. Well, apparently the nanny can't follow the rules either, but she kept her job and she kept it. The nanny got to keep coming over to the house and seeing the kids and hanging out with Robyn and hanging out with you and the kids. But apparently the brothers and their moms weren't able to be trusted as much as this person who worked for you. But that's Christine and Janelle's house. And then you find out on Sunday that the nanny's husband tested positive for COVID. At that point, you've contaminated your whole family. Now, Sunday, Kody technically should have been over at Mary's house, but at that time, he wasn't even going to see Mary at her home, regardless of COVID or whatever thing was going on. He just wasn't going down. He got what he needed. Her selling her house in Vegas, he got the money. He was fine. He wasn't going by to see her. But even if we threw her into the pot, by the time he got over there on Sunday, depending on what time she found out on Sunday, Kody would have went over there and made Mary sick. So what are we talking about? You haven't avoided anything, and this is one of the problems that I have with the entire way that Kody approached it. Kody would have, in fact, been the Mata Hari. He would have been the super spreader of the virus, because he would have definitely made sure everybody received it. Because he's at the house on Thursday with the person who brings the virus into the house, which is why you guys shouldn't meet anymore. He gets sick there, infected there. Then he goes over to Christine's house, hangs out with her, hugs up on her, kisses on her, loves up on the children, make sure he gets some good and dirty with the virus. Then he goes over to Janelle's house, does the same thing. And then I guess he goes over to Mary's house and shakes her hand and possibly gives it to her that way. Or he drinks some water out of one of her cups and leaves it up on the counter and gives it to her that way. Like, what are we talking about?
The first thing that happened when Robyn told me this is I'm like going, holy cow, she's been doing everything right. How did she get exposed to COVID? I'm going, this virus is just scary.
Holy cow, she's been doing everything right. How did she get exposed to COVID? Now, when Kody says this, and this is my point, this has been my point the whole time. When Kody says this, one or two things is possible, bro. One, the most obvious thing, if we believe what you said about, she was careful and she was doing everything right and she still got it, that would reveal how dangerous COVID was and how, more to the point, how contagious COVID was. COVID was super, super duper contagious. So even if you're doing everything right, there's a possibility that you were going to catch it. I think I was doing everything right. I was doing a lot of stuff right. I wasn't going out. I was, staying in the house pretty much all the time. My family and I were pretty much locked down, locked into place. I caught COVID at least, I think, twice. So I think that it doesn't matter. The only thing I did was go to the store every now and again, and I was masking up. I was doing the whole nine. Still caught COVID. So I think that there's a possibility that the nanny could have been doing everything right and doing everything like Kody said, washing down the groceries and all that, taking her clothes off, getting butt naked in her foyer, and then washing her clothes as soon as she comes in the house, taking a bath and all that, and she still caught it, or her husband still caught it. There's another possibility. They weren't following the rules. They weren't doing anything that you wanted. They were out partying. They was swinging. They was swapping spit with folks, strangers. They was doing everything out of the pocket, and they caught it. In which case, you trusted people and believed in people who were not related to you, and just because they came by and gave you their word that they were going to do something, you trusted them. But when your wives and your kids tried to give you their word that they wouldn't do this, or they would follow the rules, or they would adhere to the rules, they just wanted to get together, they wanted to be able to commune with one another because they felt lonely, you told them that they're full of crap, you can't trust them, and they're unbelievable. And this safety of your family is so vital and so important that it can't be trusted to people who just give you their word that they're doing the right thing. Then, of course, I said it was just two possibilities. I was wrong. There are three possibilities. The third possibility, of course, is that this is all a lie, that this was all a concoction that you guys put into place to make sure that you're able to do the things you wanted to do, which was isolate the family from you. So you basically removed Robyn and her family and put yourselves on an island by yourselves. And you told the family members, which is even more devious and ridiculous and wicked, that they could not get together and meet with one another, which I think is over the top evil. Because it's bad enough that you guys want to stay off to yourselves, but to tell Christine and Janelle's kids that they can't meet and talk and associate with one another because you guys don't want to associate with them is ridiculous.
She was so sad. She was so upset. And they don't know for sure where they got it.
Last time the nanny was over at our house was Thursday. We had the party on Saturday. I found out that her husband tested positive on Sunday, and then I found out that she tested positive on Tuesday.
Oh, she was so sad. She's so upset. Poor, oh no, she don't know what she gonna do. Like, this is the weird part where Robyn does that kid stuff that I'm not really a big fan of. But one of the things that I always find funny with this story as it's being laid out, especially TLC, what are you doing? You dropped the ball. This is huge to me. The way they laid the story out, it's way too convenient. It's way too convenient. The last time the nanny comes over to the house is Thursday. Then you guys have Ariella's birthday party on Saturday where the family all gets together. And it just so happens that on Sunday, the nanny's husband tells you that he was sick and his test came back positive. Now, why is that funny? And then, of course, the nanny calls back on Tuesday and say, I definitely got it too, because I'm hanging out with my husband, taking care of him, so I got it, which makes sense. Y'all in the same house. Okay, fine, I get that. But what's funny to me is, you know that on Saturday, after they finally break down the walls, Gabe and Garrison stood out there on Coyote Pass arguing and pleading with their father. They just want to get together. They just want to understand the rules because they miss their family. They want to reunite with their siblings. They want to see each other. This is what they all want to do. That they've been begging him the whole time for permission to be able to meet with the other people, not just Robyn's kids, Robyn and her kids, but they wanted to meet with Janelle's kids, and Janelle's kids wanted to meet with them. And Kody was standing in the way of that because he was so afraid. But then after everything is settled and you say, let's get together for Ariella's birthday party so that we can have this huge party for her and celebrate her, something for Robyn. We'll celebrate Ari. And you know, while they're sitting there at that picnic, they're saying, like, now that we finally broke the seal, we can definitely do this. We can get together all the time. And Robyn hearing that, and I know that this is what happened. Robyn hearing that, I don't know for sure. I'm just saying, I speculate this is what happened. Her hearing that, she says to herself, oh, no, we don't. Oh, no, we are not going to meet every day. And from that point, just so happens the very next day on Sunday, she hears that, oh, COVID has touched the family and we have a disaster in the waiting. It strikes me, a couple things strike me funny. One, she came by on Thursday. Why did they come by on Friday? Did something happen on Friday? Was dude walking around sick that whole time? Was he starting to show symptoms? Why did he go down and get a test on Sunday? What made him get a test on Sunday? And you guys had been getting tests. According to you, everybody was doing the right thing. You guys got tests. That's how you were cleared all to get together. You forced your family members to all go get tests. But you didn't force the nanny to go get tests. You didn't force her husband to go get tests. You distrust your family so much that you make them test themselves because you can't trust what they say. But the person that you supposedly trusted with everything that you have, that's the person that shows up sick. And what's worse, like I said, just so happens right after she happens to get this terrible news of her husband getting sick with COVID right after you guys meet. The whole year, COVID was going on. She didn't get sick. There was no problems, no complications. Just so happens that the day after the family gets together is when the nanny gets sick. What also cracks me up is that Kody and Robyn weren't angry with the nanny. I remember when Kody sat on the stage of season 17 talking about if one of those damn boys, talking about Big G's and Gabe, if one of those damn boys brought back the virus and they made my kid sick, or I was to lose a kid, I would never forgive them. If they brought that virus home, I would never forgive them. But somehow he found it in his heart to forgive his nanny and forgive her husband who brought that same virus into their house. into their house. My question is, does the nanny still work for you guys? Or did you guys fire the nanny after Kody got sick? Because after, another mysterious person brought the virus in and made Kody sick. Even though you guys were doing everything right, according to you, you guys weren't afraid, according to you, you guys were so horrified of COVID that you were taking these extra precautions, according to you, Kody still got sick and he almost died, according to you, but you still had the nanny, recognizing how dangerous COVID actually was because she almost gave it to your family. And then when your family finally gets it, why didn't you cut everybody off? You didn't. And again, the only people who were cut off at that point were the OG3 and their children.
This just validates Kody that, maybe getting together is a little bit too much of a risk. I don't know. It's just really, really hard and frustrating. And, I'm just praying that we're okay.
Oh, this just validates Kody because, everything he said is right. How is everything he said right? Everything he said is actually wrong. Everything he said is wrong. He said that he was going to be able to protect his family. That was his number one chief goal, to protect his family. He didn't expose his family because you guys got together. He exposed his family because he was bringing strangers into your house to be around you and your family. He was trusting those strangers to come into your home, and that's what exposed you to COVID. It wasn't the fact that these ladies were doing something and exposed you. It was the fact that Kody did something and exposed you. And this is what I was saying with regard to the whole issue of the COVID Express. Like, oh, Kody did this and he had the rules. This is them actually trying to retroactively support the notion that Kody was right about setting up the rules that broke the family up. He was justified in doing all the things that he was doing. This is why it was okay that he told the kids and everybody that they could no longer get together, because now we see that how easy it is for COVID to slip through the cracks. But COVID didn't slip through the cracks. COVID slipped through the cracks at your house. And the one thing that I noticed Kody didn't talk about was culpability. He didn't talk about his responsibility to make sure that his house was tight and right, that his house wasn't the one that was going to make everybody sick. I noticed that he didn't take any responsibility when it came to that. All of a sudden it was just like, oh, this thing happened. Oh, well. But you can't give your kids that same cloak of charity that you expect them to give you. You can't give them that same grace that you expected to get. And as we talk about it, come here for a second. When we talk about this entire virus, and where I say that this very well may have been a plot or a ploy on Robyn's behalf to use this whole experience as an excuse, is that it just falls funny to me. The family gets together on Saturday and they have a good time. And it seems like they're talking about getting back together. Why don't we make this a more normalized thing where the family is able to come together and we can enjoy each other's company? So now all of a sudden, all the boundaries and borders have been released and the excuses have been thrown aside. And at that moment, once those conversations start happening, as it turns out, my nanny is sick. And we could have wiped everybody out. And that's why it's so dangerous. What that tells me is what's dangerous is you having strangers in your house. If that's the case, that's what that tells me. There's no reason why, because everybody else was fine. The only person who was sick in this situation was the stranger that you let into your house. So there's no reason as to why the family couldn't get together and the family couldn't work it out. And then let's not forget the simple thing where they were talking about, this is why Kody put those rules in place in the first time. There's zero reason as to why Kody put those rules in place. This is why we don't get together. That doesn't solve anything. Make it make sense. If anything, there's an argument as to why he shouldn't be, why it doesn't matter. Now, I won't even say why he shouldn't do it, but why it doesn't matter. This is a clear example of why it doesn't matter. But it just sounds like, to me, when I heard this, in this whole clip, it just sounded like It was an excuse that was put forward, and this is proof for me that this was an excuse that was put forward by Robyn and Kody so that they didn't have to meet with the other people and Kody didn't have to go to anybody else's house. He could spend a majority of his time at Robyn's house. I don't give a shit how much she cry and complain, how much she tries to look like a baby and she tries to hit the baby face, and how much Kody says it was my rules and my regulations. Either way, you guys use those rules and regulations as a cudgel to keep the rest of your family at bay. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, you can leave messages as well on speakpipe.com/mytakeonreality. That link is down below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? This is part of the reason why I got, you know what? I'm going to have to get something where I can start seeing the show from other territories, because it strikes me too that this probably isn't the only show that TLC does this to. So 90 Day and a lot of other shows I review, they probably have a bunch of material and content that I haven't seen that would put a lot of this stuff into perspective, or it would put in context would give me a different opinion on maybe some of these people and these circumstances. Let me know what you guys think. Should I do that? Should I try to review some of these older episodes from other territories? Let me know down below. Leave that message or let me know in the comment section. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.